Welcome to this presentation on the Brahma Chakra, or the cosmic cycle. And this is part of a series of video PowerPoint presentations which I'm offering as a way to illustrate the chapters of a book which I wrote some years back, which is called The Wisdom of Tantra. And that book is an introduction to the yoga philosophy of Ananda Marga yoga, or the philosophy which was given by the guru Shri Anandamurti. So the Brahma Chakra is really, I can say it's the heart of this book, because it's the heart of the spiritual philosophy. The whole essence of the spiritual philosophy is in this chapter, in this presentation. And people have told me this is the most difficult part of the book. And I agree with them, because when I first got into this way of understanding the world, this particular subject was quite difficult, and I had to go through it 3, 4, 5 times. I don't remember how many times before it finally sunk in. So I hope that you will also find it rewarding, if not challenging, but certainly rewarding, and maybe it will open up a lot of doors for you. So let's go into it, and we'll look at it, and we'll explain what we're talking about. So Brahma Chakra, really, it's a theory of creation. Every culture and every nationality and different places of the world, different civilizations, people have theories about the origin of the universe. It's in form of myths and stories. And today we have, of course, because science has developed, we have cosmology. It's a little bit, maybe we consider it more advanced, but regardless of the society, there's always been something there. So like in some societies, long ago, people had myths such as like shown in this one, where they said the world is carried by a giant tortoise, like that, and elephants also were carrying it. So that's one concept. But the yogis, even though it was years ago, this dates back to maybe 7,000 years ago or more, had ideas of the universe too. So let's look at their idea. So the Tantric theory, which is formulated by Shri Anandamurti, is what we're going to observe now. And the base of it is that we say that Brahma is the first cause. It's the cause without a cause. And that it's called Brahma. And the cycle in which this Brahma transforms itself into the manifested universe is known as the Brahma Chakra. So it's called the cycle of Brahma. Another word for it is also called Srishti Chakra, which means the cycle of creation. So what is Brahma? This is important. So Brahma is the entity which is great and has the capacity to make others great. And as I said before, it's the non-causal, it's the cause of causes, but you can't say, well, what caused Brahma? No, that's the definition, it's non-causal. And this is very important, it's a composite of consciousness and energy. Consciousness is it's called Purusha in Sanskrit sometimes, and energy is called Prakrti. There are other terms for that too, we'll get into that. Another name for Purusha is Shiva, and another name for Prakrti is Shakti. Shiva, Shakti, or Purusha, Prakrti. These are the two ways or consciousness and energy. These are the ways of describing this. So Brahma is the composite, but Brahma is indivisible. Shiva and Shakti are like the two sides of a piece of paper. So if we have a piece of paper, we don't say that, oh, well, side A, which is, and we can't separate side A from side B. They form one, they're part of the paper. So wherever there is Shiva, there is also Shakti. Where there is consciousness, there is energy. So what is consciousness? So So in Sanskrit, it's called Purusha or Shiva. And one of its chief functions is witnessing. It's the witnessing faculty. So we have that individually, but it also exists cosmically. And another way to describe it is the cognitive faculty. So cognition, we can know something because they're of consciousness. So here, the chandelier is here. There's a reason for that. One way to think about this witnessing capacity of the Shiva, of Brahma, the witnessing capacity, is that it's like a chandelier in a room. Suppose there's a room and there's a chandelier, and then many people come into the room, they're having a party, and the chandelier is there, let's say, as an observer. And when the people leave the room and then only the janitors are cleaning up, the chandelier, the witness is also there witnessing it. But different states may come and go, but the witnessing is constant. So consciousness or Shiva or Purusha has that function. It's witnessing. Whether there's action or inaction, it's witnessing. So it has that, it's the cognitive faculty. Then there's a second function of consciousness. It's the stuff of the universe. It's the material cause of the universe. So matter is consciousness that has been transformed. So all the different kinds of matter that we have is this consciousness which has been transformed into the various states, whether they be solid, liquid, or gas, or different kinds of elements and molecules. All of that is built out of consciousness. And we'll see how that takes place, how that happens. And so this consciousness, we said it's the material cause and it's the efficient cause of the universe. So it's the material cause, it's the stuff, but it's the efficient cause. So what do we mean by that? So like a master architect. Suppose, it's like a building doesn't get constructed by itself. There's an architect who has the idea of it. And with that idea, that's part of the efficient cause. Just the architect who can put it all together is the efficient cause. And he makes a master plan and carries it out. The architect draws it out. First it's a plan, and then he gets it done. He gets it carried out. So that's the consciousness. So we can summarize again. Consciousness is witnessing, cognition. It's the stuff of the universe, and it is the primary efficient cause of the universe. And what is the role of Prakrti, or energy, or Shakti? What is its role? The other side of the piece of paper. What is its cause? Its role. So it is the operative principle. The operative principle. And it's the secondary efficient cause of this universe. So the architect has the plan, and it has to be carried out, so it needs some help for that. And it takes the help of Prakrti, this energy, to get it done. So when this Prakrti is allowed to work, it modifies the pure consciousness. When it is, there's a key word, is allowed, and we'll talk about that. When it is allowed to work, it modifies the pure consciousness. And this energy, it works in three fundamental styles. And there's a word in Sanskrit called the Gunas. The sort of three fundamental modes of operation of Prakrti are called Gunas, also called binding principles. So there are sort of three styles of this cosmic energy. So Guna literally means a rope, a binding force. So there are three of them. So what are they? First, there's the Sattva Guna. And it is the subtlest binding quality. And it gives the feeling in a person or in the cosmos of I exist. That's the subtlest kind of quality we could give to something. And it is also called the sentient principle. The sentient principle. So here's the example, the sentient principle at work in people. When people are at the, with their mind is pure and they're meditating, that's the sentient example of the sentient principle at work. Then there's the Rajah Guna. So Rajah Guna means mutative principle. And it creates the feeling, I do, I do. And is responsible for motion and change. Motion and change. The sentient principle was like you saw people are absorbed, but here it is a different work that's being done. Yeah, when the river is being churned, the white rapids and the waves crashing, that's the example of the Rajah Guna, or the mutative principle is at work. And then there's Tamah Guna. Tamah Guna is the static principle. And creates the feeling, I have done. So in the mutative principle, the feeling is, I do. In the sentient principle, the one that came first was, I exist, I do, in the last one, and now I have done. And this creates inertia. Tamah Guna creates inertia. Thought becomes objectified. Solid objects exist due to this principle. If there wasn't any inertia, then you couldn't have a solid object. Everything would be flowing, but we put it into a place. So this boulder is an example of that Tamah Guna. It's solid as a rock. So we can, because we talk about now these qualities, these gunas, we can also imagine now Brahma with qualities and without qualities. Let's look at that. That's an important concept. So the unmanifested supreme consciousness is called Nirguna Brahma. So we said guna is the binding principles. So Brahma without binding principles is called Nirguna Brahma. It has not been influenced by Prakrti. It has no perceivable qualities. We said before, that where there is consciousness, there has to be the energy. But sometimes that energy is working, is active, and sometimes it is not. So where this supreme consciousness has not been influenced by this energy, then it has no perceivable qualities. But when Prakrti modifies the pure consciousness, then this state is called Saguna Brahma, Brahma with qualities. So how does this come about? We have this world around us that has so many colors and shapes and forms, and there are sounds, and everything is going on, and it all comes from one consciousness. How did this variety come from one formless entity? This is the story of the Brahmacakra. How does that happen? In the unmanifested form of Nirguna Brahma, the three forces of Prakrti exist, but they're working in a random fashion and they do not modify the consciousness. They have to exist. Where is consciousness? Energy has to. But suppose that they're just going about in random fashion and they're not creating anything. They're not able to do any work. Then we have this Nirguna Brahma, and I'm going to make a diagram of it here. Although we're making a diagram of the undiagrammable, but it's just a theoretical way to depict it, and you'll see why we're doing it this way. If the three forces are represented by lines, then the theoretical way to view this state, this state of unmanifest consciousness, of where random forces are working, is as follows. So this is called the Causal Matrix. Just lines are going in different ways, and they're forming polygons, and different kind of polygons are being formed by the lines going in different directions. So the creation of the universe, now how's that happen? So we had the unmanifested state, and just the energy is random, but there's a possibility out of this randomness something else can happen. And the most stable figure of the multiple polygons in the causal matrix is a triangle. Within the triangle, the three gunas move and transform themselves into the others. Consciousness trapped in a triangle becomes the nucleus of the universe. And the nucleus is called Puruottama. So it's all theoretical right now, but we'll try to make it more, it'll become more practical as we go on with it. So, remember there was the polygons. Out of all these polygons, not as one, think of one triangle there. And in that triangle are the three gunas moving around, Sattva, Rajah, Tamah. They're moving in circles, just moving within the triangle, but they're moving, one transforming itself into the other. And some consciousness trapped into this in the triangle becomes like a seed, the nucleus of a manifested universe. And now we have Prakrti goes to work. So before we said that it was not really working because it was just moving in random fashion and not putting qualities onto the consciousness. So now what happens? The triangle contains the three gunas transforming themselves into one another. Sentient, mutative, and static. Sentient, mutative, and static. They're moving around and transforming. The strongest force, the Sattva Guna, breaks out of the triangle and modifies the consciousness. The first quality that comes is I exist. Prior, the consciousness had no qualities, but now one quality comes about. I exist. And this process is the formation of the cosmic mind. That's what's happening now. The first part of the cosmic mind is formed when this Sattva Guna starts to work. So here's an example of the cosmic mind. We had this triangle, and then some consciousness becomes modified, and we have this I exist factor. And it's also called Mahat Tattva, it means great factor. And then another part of the energy starts to work, the Rajah Guna, the mutative energy works, and Aham Tattva, or I do factor, and then the Chitta, I have done. So we'll go over that now. So what happens here is we're getting three portions of the cosmic mind has been formed. So our mind is a small replica of the cosmic mind. So that's one way how we can, it's very abstract. You know, I had a triangle, now I have a cosmic mind. But what is that? But it's really not abstract, because our mind works exactly like that. We have an I exist portion, we have an I do portion, and we have an I have done portion of our mind. So how does that go? We have a sense of existence. When you wake up in the morning, you feel, oh yeah, here I am again. I exist. And we have an active mind that says, I can do. Yeah, and then you say, yeah, I'm going to get out of bed now. And we have a mental plate which takes multiple forms. We start thinking and we start visualizing things. Oh yeah, I have to. You start visualizing your breakfast. It's going to be what's waiting for you when you after you clean up and everything, and that takes place on your mind's plate, which is called the chitta. So we have these three parts of mind, and the cosmic mind also has that. It has a place where its existence begins, a place where it starts to think about what it can do, and it has a place, just like our mind, we can visualize things. The cosmic mind also can visualize. So we have Mahat, Ahang, Chitta, the Sanskrit words for these three parts. So it was the Tamah Guna, or the static force, which crudifies the Chitta, or this mind stuff, and this results in the form of the 5 rudimental factors that make up our perceivable world. They're the rudiments of the world. There are 5 factors. So what are they? So the 5 factors are ethereal factor. The yogis understand that as space or space-time, or the carrier. It's the place where sound, the subtle sound of the Om, is carried. Then there's a gaseous factor, and the gaseous factor can carry sound and touch. And then there's the luminous factor, and it carries sight, sound, and touch. Because of the light, that's why you can see. And then there's the liquid factor, and this carries taste, sound, touch, and sight. And finally is the solid factor, and it carries taste, sound, touch, and sight, plus smell. Smell is the additional quality, faculty that's perceivable because of this factor. So the formation of the solid factor, I went really quick. The formation of the solid factor marks 1/2 of the cosmic cycle. So pure unbound consciousness has been crudified to the maximum degree. And in art and mythology, this state is symbolized. You might have seen this. This is Indian iconography. So what is this? This is Shiva, which I said before is called, the consciousness is called Shiva, is dancing. Shakti is dancing on the body of Shiva. So Shakti is the Kali, the goddess Kali, with the heads, garland of heads, and is dancing on the body of Shiva. So Shakti is dancing on Shiva. So what this means is that the Shakti is predominant here, and Shiva is quiescent. Shiva is just lying, dormant, you can say. So this happens. You can say this: the pure consciousness has become like a rock. So this is 1/2 of the cosmic cycle, from formlessness to cosmic mind, to the rudimental factors, and finally to solid, and that's 1/2. And when you have solid, one thing about solid is that then you can have many different particles. So if you go out on the beach, the particles of sand are solid, but they're innumerable. You try to count how many granules are on that beach. Maybe it's countable, there could be a countable, but it's innumerable. So what happens here is something which was one, and without any division, that one consciousness has now taken the form of innumerable particles. So this was the Saincara. It's called the centrifugal movement away from the cosmic nucleus. So conscious comes increasingly under more modifications, under more bondage. So one consciousness becomes many, like I said, the grains of sand on the beach. And someone has once said, I didn't say it, but Sir James Jean said it, he said, the stream of knowledge is heading towards a non-mechanical reality. The universe begins to look like a great thought, more like a great thought than a great machine. So we're going to talk about that, about the thought wave of the cosmic consciousness. And the final realization that physical science is concerned with a world of shadows is one of the most significant advances in the world of physics. We watch a shadowgraph performance of the drama of familiar life. The stuff of the world is mind stuff. So that's basically what this theory also says, is that there's mind, and then there's a creation of the mind stuff, of the chitta. And then everything else in the universe is really these rudimental factors. You go outside, you look at your lake and your rivers and the rocks and the clouds and everything. You explore nature, you explore the gases in the air. All of that is part of the mind stuff, which so Arthur Aditine said, the stuff of the world is mind stuff. So now we have the second half of the cycle is called Pratisaincara, the movement towards the nucleus. So this is centripetal motion. We're moving back, so the many become one. And from crude goes to subtle. So the rock is completely unconscious, and now we're going to go to consciousness, back to awareness of God. The rock has consciousness, but it's unaware. So now we're going to go back to consciousness with awareness. And then from increasing influence of the guna to diminishing. So those ropes are binding the consciousness, and now we go to diminishing influence of the gunas. And in this phase, we have the emergence of life. So this is very important, because now we're going to get more awareness. The matter will start to become lifelike, life-filled. So the static principle, which has transformed the cosmic mind into solid factor, continues to put pressure on the solid factor. And within the solid factor, two forces emerge: a center-seeking force and an exterior-seeking force. So here's a diagram of that. So around the periphery of the circle, you see that's the Tamah Guna is pressing on a poor solid object there. And inside the solid object, some tension has been created. And one force wants to just burst out and to destroy the object, and another force is trying to hold it together. So the combination, and there are two scenarios, okay, before I get to the combination. In this situation, you get two scenarios. If the environment is favorable, and if an interior seeking force creates a nucleus within an object, then the forces of prana or life become the forces of life, so that they become life energy. But if the environment is not favorable, the solid object may explode. This is called jadaspota, the explosions of dying celestial bodies, like a supernova is an example in an extreme way of the jadaspota. So the evolution of life. So unicellular creatures are formed, are followed by more complex plants and animals. So in the first instance, where there's some kind of life force, these interior forces, one, an object maintains its solidarity, the object is correct, there's a nucleus, then a unicellular creature emerges. But the bodies and minds of these creatures are less developed. Why did I write more developed? Of the first ones are less developed, and then more developed ones come later. At the human stage, the mind is most developed, and intuition is an important quality. So first you get unicellular, less developed, and then you get more developed, and then finally we reach the stage of human, where intuition becomes a very important quality. We'll go through that. So the living entities, single cells that first emerge, have a simple mind composed only of chitta. And mind comes out of matter. This is very important because matter has come out of mind. So mind emerges from the matter. But this is only possible because the matter, these rudimental factors came out of the mind stuff. And the influence of the Tamah Guna wanes, and the Rajah Guna becomes more predominant and creates more complex physical beings with more complex minds. And these minds contain aham as well as the chitta. And because of that, then there's possibly intellect. So that fish, if it almost gets caught on a fish hook, can learn. Oh, I'm not going to get caught on that fish hook the next time. And the reason for that is because it now has a more complex mind, which has the capacity for learning. And the influence of Rajah Guna fades, and Sattva Guna becomes predominant, and still more complex beings emerge. And their minds are composed of chitta, aham, and mahat. They have mind stuff. They have the feeling of doership, but they also have the feeling even of existence. Yes, I exist. So here's a way to look at it. So as the living beings become more complex, the minds become, in the center of the circle is chitta. So picture that protozoa, it has only chitta, instinct. And then we have the aham. Think about the fish that we saw before. It has the chitta and aham. It has possibility to learn. And then think of the monkeys and us, and we have the chitta, we have instinct, we have intellect, and we also have the beginnings of intuition. And depending on how well we utilize our mind, we have more and more intuition. So this is a fully developed mind with all three elements. So what happens now? So this is what happens coming next. So humans, we can accelerate our evolution. So up to the human stage, the cosmic mind guides the evolution of beings. So, a worm, you can become an insect, an insect become, a frog, and a frog become a mammal, and a mammal become something more. So that process of evolution, according to the yogis, is guided by the cosmic mind. It's like, if you ever went, when you were a kid, you go into these, in the amusement park, they have certain kind of rides where you ride in a car, but the car is on a fixed rail. You don't have no control over it, but, we can't little kids, we can't control the car. We don't want to give them a full go-kart or anything. So you go in a car and it's being guided. And the same way with animals and plants, their evolution is guided by the cosmic mind. They don't have, they have some motion qualities, but what they can do is they have some limits of how they're going to move on that track. But a human can take control of the process. So you get a full go-kart here. You have an accelerator pedal, and you also, unfortunately, you have the capacity to move in reverse. We'll talk about that. So meditation increases intuition and helps a person to advance. This is in fact, this is really the distinction of human life. We have the capacity to advance on this process. So the Brahmacakra is not a circle, but an oval, an ellipse. Of course, the speed is greater at the extremities. So by doing meditation, we're making some speed in a certain direction. So what is the goal of this movement? Okay, well, so like you're doing your meditation now, and you're moving closer towards the Supreme. So there are two possible goals. One is to just merge with the nucleus, but the Tantric approach is to merge with the unmanifested consciousness. So one is called mukti, one is called moksha. So pure consciousness is Nirguna Brahma, and it exists beyond the reach of the Gunas, beyond the Saguna Brahma, beyond the world. So we want to go beyond the world. You ever heard the expression, stop the world, I want to get off. So that's the idea. We want to go beyond that world that we perceive. So think of the universe as an iceberg. There's one way to look at it. And Nirguna Brahma as an ocean around the iceberg. So the consciousness is everywhere, but in one place, the water has been condensed, and it forms that iceberg. And so our universe, whatever you perceive, is like that. Everything is there in this iceberg. But around that iceberg, the ocean still exists. That's the unmanifested. So the Saguna Brahma is the manifested. The Nirguna Brahma is the unmanifested. And the goal of the yogi is actually to get off that iceberg and merge with the pure consciousness. So Saguna Brahma can be explained by taking again the example of the iceberg. So due to the variation in the climatic conditions, some of the water of the ocean changes into an iceberg. And if we compare the ocean with Nirguna Brahma, the iceberg may be compared with Saguna. The ice is comparable to Purusha in Saguna Brahma. And the climate which freezes the water is Prakrti. And the unfrozen water of the ocean stands for Purusha in Nirguna Brahma. So the unfrozen water is the Nirguna state. And so this is another concept we added on. Taraka Brahma is a tangential point linking Saguna, manifest, and Nirguna, pure consciousness. And Taraka Brahma in the form of a guru helps individuals merge with cosmic consciousness. Here's a way to describe it, look at it. So the universe is this ellipse. And a tangent, if we draw a tangent, the point on a tangent is part of the ellipse and it's also part of the outside. And the Nirguna Brahma, or the guru which guides people towards liberation, has a foot in both places. And that's why that guru can lead you to the Nirguna state. So this is another example. I said it was called the Shri chakra. And this is another example of it. So you have this, the Puruottama, and then you have, so we have the consciousness the center. It's called Puruottama. diagram is a little small, but it really shows the whole thing. So we have the triangle of forces, and then first the formation of the cosmic mind, and then the formation of the different factors. And then after the solid factor, you see the solid factor at the bottom carries the five perceptions of solid, and touch and sound and smell and taste. And then out of that solid factor emerges life forms, and the life forms move towards higher consciousness, and then finally towards back to the center, or to merge. So this is called the cycle of creation. Here's a little bit more clear in this image. So what are the implications? This is, what I've just said. There are implications for science. So does the universe have a shape? Is matter being constantly created? These are questions, because according to the Brahmacakra, that there's a constant movement of this thought wave of the cosmic entity. Was there a Big Bang? And then, what if there was a Big Bang? What came before it? So this yoga cosmology can intersect with physical cosmology, and they can come up with some maybe more satisfactory answers to questions which are still out there. And for philosophy and religion, this theory also has its implications. Is the world an illusion? So in some Indian philosophies, they said that only the consciousness is in its unmanifested way is real, and everything else is just an illusion. So is that true? Is the world an illusion? And were we made in the image of God? That's like in the Bible, it says we're made in the image of God. What does that mean? Does it mean that God is up in the sky with two hands and two arms and two eyes and looks like us? So the Brahmacakra gives some answers to these questions a little bit. And is matter more important than mind? So in Marxism, at least in its classical understanding, that matter is predominant and mind is a creation from matter, and mind is even secondary. So before I get to the suggested reading, I give also some answers to that question. Or maybe I won't give the answers, you have to find them yourself. But the yogic philosophy says that the world is not an illusion. And they say that if man is made in the image of God, or humans are made in the image of God, it means one way to look at it is because we have our mind is a replica of the cosmic mind. So in that way we are made in the image of God. Our mind has all the three components that the cosmic mind has. And is matter more important than mind? No, the yogis will say no, we won't agree with that. But anyway, we can debate that later. But the important thing is to really to try to understand how this world has come out of consciousness, and all the objects of this world is just consciousness which has been transformed into something that we can perceive. And we're part of this great thought wave of the universe. We exist in that cosmic mind. And we're not an illusion, we're not absolute, but we're a relative reality. So what is a relative reality? We still have a little bit more time. I don't want to take too much time. But what is a relative reality? It's like this. Suppose in your mind you create a blue man or a blue woman. You can do it. Close your eyes. You can imagine a little blue person there. And then next to that blue person, you imagine a red house. So for that blue person, that red house is a reality. But for someone else who's not in your mind, that's just your imagination. So with things which are within our mind can be imagination, but whatever's in the cosmic mind, that becomes a reality for us. So that tree in front of you, it may be part of a cosmic mind, and in a sense it's a thought wave, but don't bump into it, because for you it's a reality. Just like for that little blue man you created, that red house is a reality. So we're relative realities, and we exist in this world. So these are some of the things we can, this Brahmacakra leads us to ponder. But definitely, it's not an easy concept, and you'll have to go through it a few more times. You can press the rewind, and better even, I suggest you get my book, The Wisdom of Tantra, and you go through this chapter and go through it over and over until you can start to make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, throw it away, get something else. But I think it will make sense. And when it makes sense, it answers so many questions. So here's some other things. Let's see what I wrote here. Here's Ananda Sutram is the book which this is whole based on. Shiva Shakti Atmakam Brahma is the first sentence in this book. And it says that Brahma is a composite of Shiva and Shakti, consciousness and energy. Then there's a book called Idea and Ideology, and this is an elaboration of the concepts of Ananda Sutram. A difficult book, but it's a good book, very good book. You see on the cover there, they sort of try to depict it with the triangle, and it's undepictable, but they had to do their best. And the spiritual philosophy of Shri Anandamurti is another one that you can get. The unity principle, comparing yoga theory to quantum mechanics, another book. Okay, and finally, from all those books, if you're only going to get one, then you can get my book, The Wisdom of Tantra. And this is a simplified overview of the whole Ananda Marga philosophy. And you can get these books, especially the previous ones, at the pathofbliss.com, and if you put a /shop, or if you look on there and you see the bookstore tab, you can go there. Or if you go to my website, .aveda.com, I sell the Wisdom of Tantra there. They've sold, that Wisdom of Tantra is sold on both sites. So the Wisdom of Tantra will give you a chance to just to go over some of the concepts which I did in this particular PowerPoint, and in the other ones and the ones to come as well. So I really recommend it, highly recommend it. So yeah, so those books are there and they can help you out. Because like I said, it's going to take you more than one go through to really grasp this philosophy. Then finally, I just have to say thanks for watching, and if you like it, give it a thumbs up, as they say. And you can subscribe to the channel. And one of the reasons for subscribing is that you'll get notification of the further videos, because we still have to finish this series of the Wisdom of Tantra. And plus, there's other interesting information which we're giving. So subscribing is one way to keep abreast of those things. So that's all I have for now, and I hope you come back for the next video, and I hope to hear from you. So thank you, and I'll give you the yoga greeting, namaskar. I salute you with my mind and all the love and cordiality of my heart.